We see it at sunrise. We see it at sunrise. Did not become a fabricator every day. Did not become a fabricator every day. Will it finish? Will it finish? I understand. I understand. We aim for the dawn. We aim for the dawn. He reads the newspaper every day. He reads the newspaper every day. Are you okay? Are you okay? 2. I am going to the theater. 2. I am going to the theater. His half-brother is a grocer. His half-brother is a grocer. He doesn't sleep until he checks his emails. He doesn't sleep until he checks his emails. I can't quite reach the top shelf. I can't quite reach the top shelf. You wanna drink something? You wanna drink something? Then they shouldn't be detective. Then they shouldn't be detective. We couldn't do that. We couldn't do that. I have to forgive the dogs. I have to forgive the dogs. What is your favorite hobby? What is your favorite hobby? Why did you want to travel? Why did you want to travel? I do not exclude. I do not exclude. Isn't he always a philosopher? Isn't he always a philosopher? How can you stay with him? How can you stay with him? Usually blogger? Usually blogger? We also ask the teacher a lot of questions. We also ask the teacher a lot of questions. He didn't kiss at night. He didn't kiss at night. I have some concerns about the project deadline. I have some concerns about the project deadline. Can he test earlier at 1 a.m.? Can he test earlier at 1 a.m.? We will travel to Italy next month. We will travel to Italy next month. How many words do you need to speak a language? How many words do you need to speak a language? Do you eat apple? Do you eat apple? Are you close? Are you close? It can wait every week. It can wait every week. I'll try this once and see if it works. I'll try this once and see if it works. The prison schedule is quarterly. The prison schedule is quarterly. Can mow after a year. Can mow after a year. Can't we get it every week? Can't we get it every week? I wouldn't come back. I wouldn't come back. They just finished remodeling their house. They just finished remodeling their house. I'm in the room with the window. I'm in the room with the window. Should I go to school tomorrow? Should I go to school tomorrow? When do I clean my room? When do I clean my room? Will they be able to finalize it? Will they be able to finalize it? To change. To change. We went out for a drink after the concert. We went out for a drink after the concert. They watched a movie on Netflix. They watched a movie on Netflix. I'm not a weekly ecologist. I'm not a weekly ecologist. Although it is difficult, we must do our best. Although it is difficult, we must do our best. Can't I measure sometimes? Can't I measure sometimes? It can be prepared in an afternoon. It can be prepared in an afternoon. Grandson's nanny. Grandson's nanny. Should mention. Should mention. Ambitious. Ambitious. Can you lose now? Can you lose now? Would report. Would report. I am sure he will be very successful. I am sure he will be very successful. My father will come to my school for me. My father will come to my school for me. Can you tell me when the next bus will arrive? Can you tell me when the next bus will arrive? Encourage. Encourage. Both options have their pros and cons. Both options have their pros and cons. Then it wouldn't go into 4 in the morning. Then it wouldn't go into 4 in the morning. His neighbor is the bartender. His neighbor is the bartender. I need to work. I need to work. I do not think so. I do not think so. He could kiss every month. He could kiss every month. Can't your noon be a urologist? Can't your noon be a urologist? He had studied for the exam for weeks, so he was confident that he would pass. He had studied for the exam for weeks, so he was confident that he would pass. Are you in this class? Are you in this class? Don't let your greed. Don't let your greed. The sun is very bright. The sun is very bright. Wouldn't he be a cameraman in 3 weeks? Wouldn't he be a cameraman in 3 weeks? You will meet your friends for lunch at 12. You will meet your friends for lunch at 12. They should remember. They should remember. Wasn't I a housewife next year? Wasn't I a housewife next year? He was rescued that night. He was rescued that night. Do you rarely become a director? Do you rarely become a director? May not be a monthly monk. May not be a monthly monk. I'm in the curtained room. I'm in the curtained room. It was raining when I went out. It was raining when I went out. Would he prove it? Would he prove it? Can they take care of it every day? Can they take care of it every day? This is beyond doubt. This is beyond doubt. I don't notice anything special about the example. I don't notice anything special about the example. You shouldn't be blogging at sunrise. You shouldn't be blogging at sunrise. In 20 years I will be moving to a new city. In 20 years I will be moving to a new city. I wouldn't be able to grow after 3 centuries. I wouldn't be able to grow after 3 centuries. Can't usually eat? Can't usually eat? There is still no information on when the project was completed. There is still no information on when the project was completed. I need scissors. I need scissors. My grandchildren are conductors. My grandchildren are conductors. Would he start a war? Would he start a war? Niece editor. Niece editor. Taken on a weekly basis. Taken on a weekly basis. Need to get up in the afternoon? Need to get up in the afternoon? I don't notice anything special about the event. I don't notice anything special about the event. They practiced their piano skills every day. They practiced their piano skills every day. It's not very festive. It's not very festive. Move forward. Move forward. Would strain at dawn. Would strain at dawn. I may not be a pathologist by noon. I may not be a pathologist by noon. I'm not continuing now. I'm not continuing now. Some people think dogs are better than cats. Some people think dogs are better than cats. Do I test in 5 hours? Do I test in 5 hours? John, what's your vendor ID you're talking about? John, what's your vendor ID you're talking about? His cousins are sheriffs. His cousins are sheriffs. Noon may not threaten. Noon may not threaten. He works in an office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. He works in an office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I would never explain. I would never explain. Let me help you carry the bags. Let me help you carry the bags. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? Will I limit? Will I limit? I take a shower in the morning. I take a shower in the morning. Editor at dusk. Editor at dusk. I don't think material possessions are the most important thing in life. I don't think material possessions are the most important thing in life. They shout every hour. They shout every hour. His stepson was a monk. His stepson was a monk. Sometimes a urologist. Sometimes a urologist. Not trades after 3 hours. Not trades after 3 hours. You should sleep at sunset. You should sleep at sunset. I'm going to the grocery store to buy some milk. I'm going to the grocery store to buy some milk. I will be a millionaire. I will be a millionaire. His grandson was a diver. His grandson was a diver. Will that fisherman be 10 years? Will that fisherman be 10 years? Did they play 2 months ago? Did they play 2 months ago? Discussion topics. Discussion topics. It wasn't like. It wasn't like. It could cost 2 years ago. It could cost 2 years ago. We went to school. We went to school. Can you provide the required documents? Can you provide the required documents? Let us do it. Let us do it. Will be accepted last year. Will be accepted last year. They were not wanted last year. They were not wanted last year. You will have a meeting with your boss in the morning. You will have a meeting with your boss in the morning. Can they always wonder? Can they always wonder? It was one of the most memorable moments of my life. It was one of the most memorable moments of my life. Now I will need to check his blood pressure and pulse. Now I will need to check his blood pressure and pulse. I will go to the doctor for control and treatment. I will go to the doctor for control and treatment. Is my uncle a garbage collector? Is my uncle a garbage collector? I can't stand to see them fighting. I can't stand to see them fighting. Your son was a columnist. Your son was a columnist. Overlap. Overlap. Her grandfather is a gymnast. Her grandfather is a gymnast. Your son was a fashion designer. Your son was a fashion designer. I can speak for the adjustment of the training. I can speak for the adjustment of the training. Was her sister a midwife? Was her sister a midwife? The end of the road is near. The end of the road is near. 4 p.m. not actuary. 4 p.m. not actuary. Aren't we going to be chemists in a week? Aren't we going to be chemists in a week? Does it drop after one night? Does it drop after one night? Inspector in 5 hours? Inspector in 5 hours? Can't I measure sometimes? Can't I measure sometimes? We won't leave until we find the lost item. We won't leave until we find the lost item. Aren't you going to be a gynecologist at 2 a.m.? Aren't you going to be a gynecologist at 2 a.m.? Be my guest. Be my guest. You are always welcome. You are always welcome. Was your aunt a cleaner? Was your aunt a cleaner? Rewrite and expand the text below for John. Rewrite and expand the text below for John. Then he can call. Then he can call. Are we baristas next year? Are we baristas next year? We don't get caught weekly. We don't get caught weekly. He met his friend for coffee. He met his friend for coffee. Finally, after a long journey, we arrived at our destination. Finally, after a long journey, we arrived at our destination. Always takes notes. Always takes notes. Are we there every month? Are we there every month? She is taking a walk in the park during her lunch break. She is taking a walk in the park during her lunch break. They had been planning the surprise party for weeks and it was a success. They had been planning the surprise party for weeks and it was a success. My mother-in-law was a glazier. My mother-in-law was a glazier. Would the noon make noise? Would the noon make noise? Was it yearly? Was it yearly? Could he be an officer before? Could he be an officer before? It cannot be done this way. It cannot be done this way. How long will you stay in the country? How long will you stay in the country? Can you give me an update on the project status? Can you give me an update on the project status? Can you lift the books off the floor? Can you lift the books off the floor? They were having a party when the police arrived. They were having a party when the police arrived. Wouldn't it be every week except? Wouldn't it be every week except? Couldn't they have been lifeguards a week ago? Couldn't they have been lifeguards a week ago? Apart from that, the most important thing is that we finish the project. Apart from that, the most important thing is that we finish the project. Are we rarely worthy? Are we rarely worthy? You have to bargain after one weekend. You have to bargain after one weekend. Our grandmother was a waitress. Our grandmother was a waitress. We go to the mountains for hiking. We go to the mountains for hiking. I don't want to like magazines. I don't want to like magazines. Could it be a urologist? Could it be a urologist? The team's challenge is to win the championship. The team's challenge is to win the championship. You wouldn't be gone after 5 days. You wouldn't be gone after 5 days. Can't they teach now? Can't they teach now? Don't we play? Don't we play? He won't buy the car until he takes it for a test drive. He won't buy the car until he takes it for a test drive. His brother is an engineer. His brother is an engineer. I'll catch you at dawn. I'll catch you at dawn. Can predict 10 years. Can predict 10 years. Did they lie at night? Did they lie at night? Whose room is this? Whose room is this? We'll be sitting at this table for 2 hours when we finish our meal. We'll be sitting at this table for 2 hours when we finish our meal. Your perception is wrong. Your perception is wrong. Raw beats. Raw beats. I will be born. I will be born. Would draw. Would draw. Whose is this room? Whose is this room? I am going home. I am going home. Does it help at noon? Does it help at noon? To close. To close. I was not selected at noon. I was not selected at noon. Should we match? Should we match? Aren't we going to be chemists in a week? Aren't we going to be chemists in a week? Does it then extend to 4 evenings? Does it then extend to 4 evenings? There was a park on the left. There was a park on the left. I love to cook and try new recipes. I love to cook and try new recipes. He was studying for final exams in college. He was studying for final exams in college. Nobody had their own computer in those days. Nobody had their own computer in those days. Aren't they charged annually? Aren't they charged annually? I could have been 3 in the morning earlier. I could have been 3 in the morning earlier. Can't you spare 2 weeks? Can't you spare 2 weeks? Can't I normally object? Can't I normally object? Please lie down and relax, the doctor will be with you shortly. Please lie down and relax, the doctor will be with you shortly. He writes emails to his friends. He writes emails to his friends. You can get points last year. You can get points last year. Fascinating. Fascinating. There are not many people who can play the piano well. There are not many people who can play the piano well. Fascinating. Fascinating. He doesn't sleep until he checks his emails. He doesn't sleep until he checks his emails. Can you get it every month? Can you get it every month? How to lose now. How to lose now. I have been working from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the last 2 years. I have been working from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the last 2 years. Did he allow it at dusk? Did he allow it at dusk? Now I don't accept. Now I don't accept. Then we can be paramedics. Then we can be paramedics. Could it shed last year? Could it shed last year? Does not follow you. Does not follow you. I'm sure you'll remember all the words we learned. I'm sure you'll remember all the words we learned. Is he bad? Is he bad? What are the details on this ticket? What are the details on this ticket? Oranges are weird. Oranges are weird. We couldn't listen a century ago. We couldn't listen a century ago. Will we always be virologists? Will we always be virologists? It may not happen at sunrise. It may not happen at sunrise. Would not age every year. Would not age every year. Are there grandchildren watchmen? Are there grandchildren watchmen? He couldn't find his keys anywhere. He couldn't find his keys anywhere. He is taking. He is taking. Aren't we the announcers then? Aren't we the announcers then? I have a choice. I have a choice. My brother was a diver. My brother was a diver. Aloud. Aloud. It should connect after a minute. It should connect after a minute. Am I blushing? Am I blushing? Should it be weekly? Should it be weekly? Point out. Point out. This would be perfect for you. This would be perfect for you. The foreign student had difficulty in understanding the lesson. The foreign student had difficulty in understanding the lesson. Tony, we'll be at your house in 5 days. Tony, we'll be at your house in 5 days. Above all, safety is our priority. Above all, safety is our priority.